we keep thinking that, once we have the budget and the resources, we'll be running and just wait till next year and everything's going to change. But what is the plan? I mean, we know that any sort of digital transformation, any sort of change is going to require a lot of different stakeholders. It's going to require a lot of different relationships. So what can we do today without budget and resources to make sure that when we catch that car, we know what to do with it? I think that's incredibly important to be able to prioritize, and not every fire needs to be put out right away. And we need to be able to identify that. And what I talk to with a lot of the teams that I work with is understanding your core values and your core priorities as a professional and how that translates into what you're doing in procurement.
Thanks so much for joining another episode of the Never-Ending Climb for Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement for Companies Running SAP. Today we have Katie, the Procurement Girl. Katie, thank you so much for joining.
Oh my gosh, Sean, it's such a pleasure to be here. I always love talking to you. And I love what you're doing with the show. It's the guests you're getting. Oh my gosh, it's great content. And it's bite-sized. It's not this hour-long epic piece. Like, you get good value when you've only got like 10 minutes. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's amazing. When I see the way that you show up on LinkedIn, I see you offering help and a warm, thoughtful set of like, hey, we see you. We know you're grinding away. We know it's not easy. We know it's hard. And that just feels like more people need to get a chance to see and hear what you're putting out there. And Katie, I have to imagine that there's people that reach out to you for help to, help their procurement team get to the next level, help get unstuck, help get through whatever hard stuff they're dealing with, because there's hard stuff.
Yeah, for sure. What an understatement. I've been getting a big influx in people reaching out on the buy side, on the procurement side, just needing motivation, teams needing motivation, coaching. I've been doing a lot of therapy sessions, which was the new thing that I started this year. And what I've really come to realize is we in procurement just want to be heard. We want to be valued and understood. And it is incredibly difficult to get there, especially now. We've been saying for years and years that this is our time. We've hit center stage. This is the time to build momentum. And what's really happening is we're still kind of stuck. And I think executives and a lot of procurement leaders are looking at this thinking, I need to do something for my team. I need to help them get motivated. And I'm exhausted. I don't have the time to reach out to my team of 20 and do daily check-ins to make sure they're okay. So what's up with this Katie girl? What does she do? So they'll pull me in and I'll meet with team members one-on-one and talk about what they're dealing with and talk about different strategies for them to move forward. And it's been awesome because I get to do what I love, and that's working hand in hand with procurement. And yeah, the demand is high. Definitely much more from the buy side than the sell side these days.
Yeah, I think this is the time when, whether you're buying or selling, there's certain times a year where it's just crunch time. And when you get into that crunch time, sometimes your team needs a hand, needs somebody that they can talk through, help them get unstuck.
Yeah.
Because they're growing, right? Everybody is dealing with some stuff and they're going through some things. And they're growing, and sometimes they need to be able to talk that through with somebody to help them learn to be the person that can deal with that next thing.
Yeah, because sometimes you can sort of get trapped in all the bureaucracy and the politics, and you're just in this box and you can't see any other way, and especially if you've been there for a long time, and it becomes difficult to motivate your team because you just sort of keep telling them the same things like, hold on, it'll get better, we'll get resources, things aren't always going to be this way, 2024 is our year. you get tired of saying things like that. So to really just look at the situation and be able to come in with an outsider's perspective and say, I saw this work really well. Maybe this is something that you can do. We talk all the time about, demonstrating that value, and it's all about reporting. And it's really difficult to do that when you've got all these different systems and you have all these different people that are, in all these different places, to be able to bring that together and really inform and educate about the value that we bring. And so I'd love to talk to companies about that, how to think about your data differently and how you can leverage that and use, sort of an orchestration approach to really communicate that value instead of just doing the same checkboxing. We have to move beyond that. And, we may have to break some rules, along the way. But, as long as they're process rules and not policy rules, like, I think we'll survive and we'll move the needle. But we have to be willing to own it, right? And to take that leap.
Yeah.
Something.
And it feels like one of those opportunities to stop and step back and look at how much change on top of how much transactional, regular day-to-day business is going on all at the same time. It's almost a norm that you don't bother accounting for the first few days after the end of the month. Just don't even talk to them. The last few days before the end of the quarter, you just don't even talk to sales. There isn't a period like that for procurement. It's just, procurement's got to figure it out. They got to move some stuff around. They got to work smarter, not harder. They got to figure it out, make a plan, and get stuff done.
Yeah.
There's a Dilbert comic about exactly that. And the answer at the end of the comic is, all that did was make me hate you. And nobody wants to be that guy that says, just figure it out. So how do we help create that bit of a space for procurement? What do you think that would look like? And how could that period of the month or certain seasons in the year where that workload to go get stuff done is intense enough that becomes one of those, almost like a do not disturb sign on the door, while still maintaining a sense of customer service?
Yeah, you articulated exactly why procurement is so burnout right now, because that particular time is all the time, right? It's it is. It's because procurement impacts every point of the business. So whatever heavy point of time it is for sales or for accounting, it's sort of the same way for procurement, because they're helping them meet their needs and meet their goals and get those reports together and solve the issue. But yeah, I think the whole do not disturb thing is the reason that procurement is still talking about moving to a strategic role. I think that's why we're still chasing the car. We're not there yet. I don't know what we'll do when we get there, but
We got the car, now what?
I know. And we keep thinking that, once we have the budget and the resources, we'll be running, and just wait till next year and everything's going to change. But what is the plan? I mean, we know that any sort of digital transformation, any sort of change is going to require a lot of different stakeholders. It's going to require a lot of different relationships. So what can we do today without budget and resources to make sure that when we catch that car, we know what to do with it? I think that's incredibly important to be able to prioritize, and not every fire needs to be put out right away. And we need to be able to identify that. And what I talk to with a lot of the teams that I work with is understanding your core values and your core priorities as a professional and how that translates into what you're doing in procurement. And it's a great way when you can, at the tip of your tongue, articulate what your core is and what your priorities are, and use that in your role and within procurement. You'll find that you have more passion, and that's going to stay with you longer, and you're going to be able to overcome things like burnout and disruption, because you're going to know in your core what's priority.
And I keep seeing and hearing that information overload is a huge component of that cause of burnout. And you can see it with information overload. I know there's certain analysts that if you pay them well, they'll write nice things about you. And certain other analysts, doesn't matter what you pay them, they'll write the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then others that you don't pay them. They will provide you with their perspective. And that information overload in terms of options that are out there feels like something completely overwhelming. I remember looking at one of the analyst reports, said there were 600 different solutions, and those are only counting the ones that are over a certain size, to go and help procure to pay. And if you're thinking about evaluating even a handful of them, how on earth does somebody sift and sort through that? That information overload, when you're trying to make a plan to go make it better, even if you need to go ask for some budget, or you need to trade some of your budget because you're going to get the return on it, and then you're asking what would need to be true for us to unlock this opportunity cost that's piling up and piling up and piling up. So what do you suggest for people to consider to help overcome some of that information overload?
Yeah, well, Gartner would love it if we just came to them and said, "Hey, we this is too much. We don't know how to sift through this." And Gartner's going to say, "Well, in 2026, 50% of all of y'all are going to be using AI." And then a bunch of new AI startups come up because they're like, "Hey, this market's hot. Let's get on this. I don't know what procurement is, but surely to God, we can come up with some AI tool that can, master their data and put some machine learning together." I mean, we can do
Bingo.
something.
I think I just filled out my buzzword bingo card, Katie. I thought I didn't know we were playing that game.
I should award you. I should have
Okay.
tried to participate. But it's true, and it drives the market. I mean, we saw the same thing with sustainability, all these different predictions from all these different analysts, and then you see this whole, upswing with all these different startups. And I mean, I kind of giggle every time I see Dr. Eloise Spider Map, because I'm just like, there's like a million of these companies. Like, are they worth it? Are they worth looking at? And I mean, to be honest with you, Sean, that's why I was able to leave corporate, was because I started helping these software companies understand what procurement is and help them to break through all the noise that it's in the market. Because procurement people would come to me and they would be like, "Yeah, there's a lot of tools out there for procure to pay. I'm just looking for this. I've talked to this consultant, I talked to this one, they give me all these, and like, I'm just overwhelmed." And it's just like, well, I actually know a customer that uses XYZ tool who has seen a lot of value, and it's easy to pass that information along, right? And just help those companies stand out. Uh, but I think a lot of it is tapping into your network. We talked a little bit about this before, about how important it is to have that core group of people, not a community that you pay for, not analysts that you pay for, but like real human beings that you can just pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, I've got this need, I've got this problem. You know me, you know this industry, you know what I'm dealing with. What do I do?" And be able to skip all the pleasantries, right? Not have to do, "Hey, how you doing? How was your weekend? How was vacation?" No, like, "Help me. I've got a problem. My CFO said I have to do this. I don't know anything about the market right now. I've been out of touch," whatever. And just have that guidance. Have somebody that you can really pull you out of the gunk and muck and lead you in the right direction. And I think outsiders are your best asset, because there's so much groupthink and just this echo chamber that happens within procurement teams, where you create this different culture, and you need someone sometimes to be able to come in there and say, "Think about this a little bit differently," or, "I've seen this work at a different company." That's not necessarily a consultant, but someone that you trust, that's in your network, that you've built that relationship with. That's really what separates the players and the ballers when it comes to procurement, is the ones that take the time to build relationships and not be competitive with other procurement professionals, and actually learn from them. And it's hard to find procurement pros that are willing to share that expertise and to share those failures. But when you find them, you've got to grab hold of them, because they could be a true lifeline for you.
Here's a couple of things that I've seen, and I'm imagining that others have found this as well, is those people that are vulnerable enough to share, open enough to share, they have some of that infinite mindset, and they're probably somebody that has benefited from some of that mentorship and or some of that, own private personal mastermind group of a few people with experience and insight that can help each other make sure they're not in the echo chamber, help each other make sure that they're getting some outside ideas and outside advice, getting outside of their own head sometimes to go and get the benefit from some of their own network. And that's shared because, you'll turn around and you'll give it right back. And that reciprocity in those relationships is super important. Sometimes I've seen that sort of mentor relationship of somebody who's in the position where you're trying to get to. Sometimes what they get out of that is just knowing that they're, I guess you can call it karma or paying it forward or whatever. Somebody did that for them and now they get to do that for you. Sometimes that's enough. And sometimes that just brings joy to those people. And those are the magic people that if you got some of those, and I know you do, just, make sure that you keep on your heart that those are amazing people and hold that gratitude for them and make sure that you're giving back to them too.
100%. Yeah, because it's difficult, especially in a professional realm, to find people that help without an agenda. Help just because they care enough about the function that they want to make sure that the work they're doing today will last beyond their tenure. So they want to take the time to pass that on to the next generation. I think that's part of it. But I think too, just the love of the space and just that willingness to just share that passion. We need more folks like that out there that aren't just this humdrum. Oh, it's so hard. You're never gonna make it. They need to go
Yeah.
on somewhere, retire, do whatever they got to do, because there needs to be a new voice. There needs to be an excitement and just a passion for what we do, because it's bigger than anybody thought. I mean, 30
Yeah.
years ago, if you would talk to a procurement professional or a purchasing manager and say, hey, this is what the world's going to look like in 2023 when it comes to procurement, they'd be like, people are actually talking about what we do? People actually care about procurement? It would be a shock, right? And so
Yeah.
those naysayers, they need to sunset, and we need some new voices out there that are talking about the value that procurement brings and how to think differently about how we communicate that. One of my really good friends in this space, you bring up mentors, so I have to give him a shout out, Lawrence Kane. He said, what procurement needs to do is they need to take a crash course in storytelling. And that's so true, because influencing and building our network and selling, I mean, that's what salespeople are doing. They're taking crash courses in storytelling, and that's exactly what we need to be doing internally. So if we start thinking about how to tell our stories and what's happening in our procurement team and celebrating our wins and capturing that value and then learning how to articulate it internally to stakeholders, that's how we move forward. And unfortunately, if we don't start selling internally, nobody's going to care about procurement.
It's how we stay relevant. We've got to be able to tell the story. I was sharing a story the other day about the critical difference between critical thinking and negativity, and how, at least in my organization, negativity is a fast way to ask to exit. And critical thinking is required, mandatory, encouraged, and just a part of the role. Understanding, bringing constructive feedback, celebrating feedback, but making sure that that feedback is brought with that critical thinking angle of what else would need to be true? What else is this person not thinking about? How could this be better? If we needed to be world class, what would need to be true? And that's a different question and a different frame of mind and a different mindset. And it comes from a place of challenge and never ending climb to get better, to be better, to figure out what that next level is and to get there, make a plan and get there. Sometimes you got to get there without a lot of the budget and resources. And I know Katie, of all people out there, sees all of those procurement professionals that are wrestling with that. And there are things that you can do out there to go and get to that next level that don't all have to cost millions of dollars. So, Katie, I am so grateful for the way that you show up in the network, the way that you create the LinkedIn buzz when you're out there sharing the latest story. And I'd like to invite you to share, if you had one thing that you hope people remember 6 weeks, 6 months from now, what would that be?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to prioritization and understanding what's most important. Burnout is something that plagues most procurement professionals, especially during these crazy times. So it's really about prioritizing, understanding what's most important, what needs to get done. Like I said earlier, not every fire needs to be put out. Uh, and it's all about finding your passion for the role and understanding what that is. You know, we see all these soft skills presented to us, and this is what you need to have to be successful. It's all about making it your own, finding those skills and building on those and making it your own. We're not all going to build relationships the same way. We're not all going to sell the same way. We're not going to all look at reports the same way. We all have our different ways of looking at things, and we need to own that because that uniqueness can really give you your edge in procurement. And it's how we can stay motivated. There's so many different skill sets that are required in procurement to really double down on things that may become easier and stretch yourself with other opportunities. I think this is the time to really start focusing on influencing and encouraging and motivating people in your network, having that open door where, you know, you have those quick 15-minute conversations with somebody in your network to share ideas with and build that. Of course, I'm a big proponent on LinkedIn because building a brand right now is the new resume. And I talked to a lot of procurement professionals who got laid off this year and since COVID that really haven't been able to rebound. So I would encourage anybody that's listening today, it doesn't have to be a lot, but start being active on LinkedIn because one day you're going to need a network. One day you don't want to have to solicit recruiters. It would be nice if they came to you. Build your personal brand, encourage those around you, and prioritize your time as much as possible. You can't do everything. And the procurement people that say yes to everything are the ones that burn out first. So make sure that you take the time to really understand what your priorities are so you know what to say no to. Because when the battery gets low, it's time to say no. So whatever you got to do to make sure you can understand where that line is extremely powerful.
That is words to live by. When the battery gets low, it's when to say no.
Yes.
You know, ask for what you need to be successful. And sometimes that means, I'd love to help you. However, I need to ask you to hold on to that or come back and ask again later.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is the way through it. Katie, thank you so much for joining, for sharing, for shining your light.
Oh.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been another edition of The Never Ending Climb for a stronger supply chain and procurement for companies running SAP.